My mother-in-law secretly sabotaged my birth control and destroyed my career because she wanted grandkids, but now her plan has backfired in the most spectacular way and she is miserable. I, 29F, am still in shock over what I've discovered about my mother-in-law, 58F, and how she systematically tried to destroy my life over the past 2 years. I need advice on how to handle this because every time I think about it, I feel sick to my stomach. I met my husband Mark, 31M, 6 years ago at a tech startup where we both worked as software engineers. I still remember the day perfectly. I was debugging a nasty piece of code when he came over to help, making terrible programming puns that somehow made the whole frustrating process bearable. We clicked immediately, same dark humor, same drive, same goals. Within 6 months, we were inseparable. Our colleagues used to joke that we were the only couple they knew who spent their date nights coding together and actually enjoyed it. We had a clear plan for our lives: build our careers first, travel the world, and maybe think about kids in our mid-30s. We even had a shared spreadsheet. Yes, we're that nerdy, mapping out our 5-year goals, promotions we wanted to achieve, countries we wanted to visit, the kind of life we wanted to build together. Kids were on there, but purposefully scheduled for later, after we'd established ourselves and had adventures together. His mother Janet seemed supportive at first. At our wedding, she gave a touching speech about how proud she was to have such an ambitious daughter-in-law and how she looked forward to watching us achieve our dreams together. She even defended us to other family members who made comments about us waiting to have kids. They're building a strong foundation first, she'd say. That's the smart way to do it. I actually felt lucky to have such an understanding mother-in-law. God, I was naive. That support was all an act. For the past 2 years, she's been secretly trying to force us into parenthood against our will, and the lengths she went to are absolutely terrifying. It started small. She'd send articles about fertility declining after 30, make comments about how fulfilling being a mother is, remind me that Mark's cousins all had kids already. I brushed it off as typical mother-in-law behavior. Then she started buying baby clothes and leaving them at our house, saying they were such good deals she couldn't pass them up. Again, annoying but seemingly harmless. But last month, I discovered something that made my blood run cold. I was having weird symptoms, nausea, dizziness, mood swings, and couldn't figure out why. I'd been on the same birth control for years with no issues. Then one day, I caught Janet in our bathroom when she thought I was at work. She had a spare key for emergencies. She was replacing my birth control pills with fakes. I confronted her immediately and she broke down crying, admitting she'd been tampering with my medication for months. She'd found someone online who could make pills that looked identical to my birth control but contained only sugar. She'd been switching them out every chance she got, hoping I'd get pregnant by accident. But that wasn't even the worst part. When I started digging deeper, I discovered she'd been sabotaging my career too. Remember that tech startup where Mark and I worked? Last year, I was up for a huge promotion to lead developer. It would have meant managing a team of 15 people and a significant salary increase. Mysteriously, just before the final decision, rumors started circulating that I was already pregnant and planning to leave the company. I lost the promotion to my colleague James, who had less experience but was seen as a safer choice since he wouldn't be taking maternity leave. The day they announced it, I had to sit through a team meeting where they praised his long-term commitment to the company, all while people shot knowing looks my way. I went to the bathroom and cried for an hour. Mark found me there and held me while I sobbed about how unfair it was. I had worked so hard, put in countless extra hours, led successful projects, and it all meant nothing because of a rumor I couldn't even defend myself against. How do you prove you're not pregnant when everyone's already decided you are? I couldn't understand where the rumors came from. I had been so careful about keeping our family planning private. The only people who knew about our timeline were our closest friends and family. I even started doubting myself, wondering if I had said something in a meeting that got misconstrued, or if my clothes had looked different one day. The paranoia was eating me alive. Now I know, Janet had been emailing HR and other employees from fake accounts, spreading lies about my pregnancy and posting on industry forums about how I was secretly interviewing elsewhere. The stress from losing that promotion and dealing with the workplace rumors eventually became unbearable. Every morning, I'd feel sick to my stomach walking into the office, knowing I'd face another day of whispered conversations that stopped when I entered the room. The final straw came during a project meeting where James, my new boss, casually mentioned planning around team changes in the coming months while staring directly at my stomach. I quit that afternoon. The resignation process was humiliating. HR tried to be subtle, but I could tell they were watching for signs of pregnancy during my exit interview. They kept emphasizing their generous maternity leave policy and how I could always return after taking care of personal matters. I wanted to scream that I wasn't pregnant, that they had all ruined my career over a lie, but what was the point? The damage was done. I started freelancing from home, which Janet celebrated as perfect for when the baby comes. Every step of my life falling apart was part of her plan. But here's where karma kicked in spectacularly. While gathering evidence of her actions, including screenshots of her buying the fake pills and records of the fake emails, I discovered something that blew this whole situation wide open. Janet doesn't just work as a real estate agent like she claimed, she runs a whole network of forums and social media groups dedicated to helping mothers-in-law convince their daughters-in-law to have children. She sells guides on how to tamper with birth control, create fake email accounts, and spread rumors to sabotage women's careers, all in the name of ensuring the family line continues. She's been making thousands of dollars coaching other mothers-in-law on how to manipulate and destroy their daughters-in-law's lives. There are hundreds of women in these groups, all sharing tactics and success stories about forcing women into unwanted pregnancies. The forums were organized like a twisted self-help community, with different sections for beginners and advanced techniques. They even had success story categories, career sabotage victories, fertility intervention wins, and family pressure success stories. Reading through the posts made me physically ill. These women shared intimate details about their daughters-in-law's lives, everything from menstrual cycles to career aspirations, discussing them like obstacles to be overcome. They celebrated when someone announced a surprise pregnancy, congratulating each other on their manipulation tactics. One woman bragged about making her daughter-in-law lose 3 jobs in 2 years until she finally accepted her role as a mother. The worst part was their justification. They truly believed they were doing the right thing, saving their sons from selfish career women and ensuring family legacy. Janet was considered a guru in these groups, offering premium one-on-one coaching sessions for $500 where she'd help plan individualized sabotage campaigns. She had testimonials from satisfied customers, for God's sake, as if destroying someone's autonomy was a service to be rated and reviewed. When I showed everything to Mark, he went through all 5 stages of grief in about 20 minutes. First came denial, there must be some mistake, Mom would never. Then anger, he punched a wall so hard he left a dent. Bargaining, maybe if we talk to her, there's an explanation. Depression, he sat on our couch crying like a child, repeating I'm so sorry over and over. And finally, acceptance, the moment his face hardened and he said, we need to stop her. The confrontation with Janet happened at her house. I still remember every detail of that day, the sickeningly sweet smell of her prized roses as we walked up the path, the cheerful wind chimes that seemed to mock the gravity of the moment, the way she smiled when she opened the door, totally oblivious to the storm that was about to break. Mark started calmly, showing her the evidence piece by piece. The fake pill packaging we'd found in her trash. The screenshots of her forum posts. The emails to my company. With each revelation, her face changed, from confusion to fear to something else, something almost like pride? When he finished, she sat there for a moment, sipping her tea like we were having a normal Sunday visit. Then she put down her cup, looked me straight in the eye, and said the words that will haunt me forever, everything I did was out of love. Someday, when you're holding your baby, the baby I made possible, you'll thank me. You're too career-focused to see it now, but a woman's real purpose is motherhood. I just helped you fulfill your true destiny. Mark exploded. Your true destiny? Mom, you tried to force her into pregnancy against her will. You destroyed her career. You've been selling advice to other women about how to do the same thing. This isn't love, it's abuse. Janet's response was chilling in its calmness. She stood up, walked to a cabinet, and pulled out a thick binder. This is my business plan, she said, opening it to show page after page of strategies, scripts, and success stories. I help mothers-in-law save their family lines from modern feminism. I'm proud of what I do. Look at these testimonials, dozens of babies who wouldn't exist without my help. How can you call that abuse? She actually tried to hand me a business card. When you're ready to admit I was right, you can join our success stories page. My premium members would love to hear how I helped my own daughter-in-law embrace motherhood. Update 1, it's been 2 weeks since my last post and everything has exploded. After gathering all the evidence, including recordings of Janet admitting to tampering with my medication, we went to the police. They were shocked by the extent of her operation and took it very seriously. The investigation revealed that Janet's network was even larger than we thought. She'd been running these groups for over 3 years, with thousands of members across multiple platforms. The detective assigned to our case, a compassionate woman named Detective Rivera, sat us down to show us the full scope of what they'd uncovered. Janet's operation, which she'd been running for the past 3 years, was terrifyingly professional. She had different tiers of membership. Basic members got access to forum discussions and generic advice, while premium members received personalized coaching, detailed guides, and access to a network of helpers who could assist with various aspects of their schemes. The guides she sold were meticulously organized, like twisted instructional manuals. There were sections on everything from identifying different types of birth control pills to creating convincing workplace rumors. She even had a section on how to manipulate security cameras and make copies of house keys without leaving traces. One particularly disturbing guide was titled The Art of Gaslighting, making her think she's crazy for wanting a career. Detective Rivera showed us screenshots of the premium member area. Janet had categorized her techniques into different success paths depending on the target's personality type. For career-focused women like me, she recommended a combination of workplace sabotage and fertility manipulation. For family-oriented targets, she suggested using guilt and religious pressure. She even had strategies for handling resistant husbands who supported their wives' choices. The level of detail was frightening. She included templates for fake email accounts, scripts for spreading rumors, even recommendations for specific brands of fake security cameras to install in daughters-in-law's homes. There were guides on how to make copies of house keys, how to install spyware on phones, and how to manipulate social media to make it look like someone was job hunting or pregnant. The police found evidence that at least 50 other women had been victims of similar tampering schemes, all orchestrated or inspired by Janet's tutorials. They are now working to identify and contact these victims. Several have already come forward with horrifying stories similar to mine. Mark has been my rock through all of this. After the initial shock wore off, he transformed into my fiercest protector. He not only cut contact with Janet immediately but also spent hours helping the police decrypt her online activities, using his software engineering skills to trace her digital footprint. He even set up a secure website for other victims to safely share their stories without fear of retaliation. The most eye-opening conversation came when Mark's father, David, reached out to us. He had divorced Janet years ago, and now we understood why. Over dinner at our new place, he shared the full story of their marriage. Janet was always obsessed with control, he explained, his hands shaking as he held his coffee cup. When Mark was young, she tried to orchestrate every aspect of his life, his friends, his hobbies, even what he wore to school. When I objected, she started manipulating my medications too. David revealed that in the final years of their marriage, he had been experiencing strange symptoms, mood swings, depression, unexplained anxiety. After they separated, he discovered Janet had been crushing anti-anxiety medications into his food, trying to make him more manageable. She had even joined parenting forums back then, sharing tips about handling difficult husbands. I should have warned you, David said, tears in his eyes. But who would believe something so twisted? I thought maybe she changed, or that I was exaggerating my memories. I've been carrying that guilt for years. Mark reached across the table and grabbed his father's hand. It wasn't your fault, Dad. She fooled everyone. That night marked a turning point for Mark. Seeing his father's pain helped him understand that his mother's behavior wasn't just about babies or tradition, it was about power and control. The hardest part has been dealing with the wider family fallout. Janet's sister, who I always liked, tried to defend her actions, saying she just wanted what was best for the family. Several cousins have taken Janet's side, arguing that she did it out of love and that I'm destroying the family by involving the police. The family is completely split. But I've also received incredible support from unexpected places. After the story broke, women started reaching out from all over the country sharing similar experiences with their mothers-in-law. We've started a support group and are working with a lawyer to pursue civil action against these forums and the companies that host them. Update 2, 3 months later, and justice is finally being served. Janet has been arrested and charged with multiple felonies, including tampering with medical prescriptions, cyber-stalking, and fraud. The FBI got involved because she was selling her services across state lines. They found evidence that she'd made over $200,000 from her consulting business. The investigation into her network has led to 6 other arrests so far, all mothers-in-law who took her advice to extreme levels. One woman was caught putting fertility meds in her daughter-in-law's coffee. Another had created an elaborate scheme to get her daughter-in-law fired from her job as a surgeon by spreading rumors about med use. My old company was horrified when they learned the truth about those pregnancy rumors. They'd offered me my job back with a promotion and back pay, plus damages for the discrimination. I accepted, but on my terms. I'm now working remotely and helping them develop better policies to protect employees from this kind of manipulation. Mark and I are stronger than ever. We've moved to a new house, address unknown to his family, changed all our passwords and security systems, and are finally feeling safe again. We've decided to be child-free for the foreseeable future, not because of Janet's actions, but because this experience has shown us how happy we are with our life as it is. The support group has grown into an advocacy organization. We're pushing for stronger laws against reproductive coercion and working to raise awareness about this type of abuse. Several states are now considering bills that would specifically criminalize birth control tampering. Update 3. It's been a year since this nightmare began, and I'm finally ready to share where things stand. Janet took a plea deal and will serve 3 to 5 years in prison, plus hefty fines. More importantly, she's banned from using the internet or contacting any of her victims after her release. The civil lawsuit against the forum hosting companies revealed even more horrors. During discovery, we found internal emails showing that multiple platform administrators had been warned about these groups but ignored the reports because they were generating significant engagement. One admin had even joked about it being just mother-in-law drama. Our lawyer, a fierce woman named Sarah Chen, made sure they paid heavily for that negligence. The settlement wasn't just about money, we demanded systematic changes. The platforms had to implement better monitoring systems, create specific reporting categories for reproductive coercion, and fund educational programs about reproductive rights and digital privacy. The settlement money, a staggering $4.2 million, went directly into establishing our foundation. We used it to create a comprehensive support system for victims, legal aid, career counseling, therapy services, and emergency relocation assistance. So far, we've helped shut down 12 similar networks and provided assistance to over 200 women. Each success story feels like a personal victory. One case that particularly touched me was a young doctor named Rachel. Her mother-in-law had been following Janet's career sabotage playbook, spreading rumors at the hospital where Rachel worked about medical mistakes she'd never made. Rachel nearly lost her medical license before we helped expose the truth. Now she's chief resident, and she volunteers with our organization, helping other women rebuild their professional lives. Another woman, Sophia, had been trapped in an abusive situation for years because her mother-in-law had used Janet's techniques to isolate her from her support system and manipulate her financial independence. With our help, she not only escaped but also started her own business. She now employs other survivors, creating a network of support through economic empowerment. Mark and I have used this experience to become stronger advocates for reproductive rights and bodily autonomy. We regularly speak at conferences and work with lawmakers to strengthen protections against reproductive coercion. The organization we founded, My Body, My Choice, My Life, now has chapters in 15 states. The biggest surprise, my pregnancy, came after 18 months of intensive therapy and healing. It wasn't an easy decision, and honestly, I had panic attacks at first about having a baby after everything that happened. But my therapist helped me understand that taking back control of my reproductive choices was part of my healing journey. When we first started discussing having a baby, I broke down crying in Mark's arms. What if we're doing this because she got in our heads? What if she wins? I sobbed. Mark held me and said something I'll never forget: she doesn't win because this is our choice. We're not having a baby because she forced us, we're having one because we want to, when we want to, on our terms. That's the opposite of what she wanted. We waited until I was past the first trimester to announce the pregnancy, and we did it our way. I posted a photo of my positive pregnancy test next to my new business cards. I just started my own software consulting firm. The caption read, 2 lines we chose for ourselves. Growing a baby and a business on our own terms. It felt like the perfect middle finger to everyone who thought women had to choose between career and family. The support from our chosen family has been overwhelming. Mark's father cried when we told him, happy tears this time. My best friend from the support group threw us the most amazing gender-neutral baby shower, complete with coding-themed decorations. Yes, we're still those nerds. Even my old boss from the company that let me go came, bringing both a gift and a formal apology letter from the board of directors. Janet won't be part of our child's life, but we have a wonderful support system of chosen family who respect our decisions. Looking back, I'm grateful we caught Janet when we did. The investigation uncovered plans for an expanded consulting service where she would have trained other mothers-in-law to become coaches themselves, creating a pyramid scheme of reproductive abuse. The lead investigator told us they found drafts of a book she was writing, The Complete Guide to Securing Your Family Legacy: How to Turn Career Women into Mothers. Our advocacy work has expanded beyond what I ever imagined. We're currently working with legislators in 12 states to draft Janet's Law, comprehensive legislation that would specifically criminalize reproductive coercion and digital harassment. 3 states have already passed preliminary versions, with more expected to follow. We've also partnered with tech companies to develop AI tools that can identify and flag potential reproductive coercion networks online. It's ironic, I'm using my software engineering skills to prevent exactly the kind of manipulation that nearly destroyed my career. There's something poetic about that. The foundation runs monthly support group meetings, and I still attend regularly, now as both a survivor and a mentor. Last week, a young woman came in shaking, clutching printouts of suspicious emails just like I had once done. Watching her face as we helped her understand she wasn't crazy, wasn't alone, and didn't have to endure the manipulation, it reminded me of my own journey and why this work matters so much. Janet will be eligible for parole in 2 years, but her digital access will be permanently restricted. Sometimes I wonder if she understands the irony. In trying to force me into motherhood, she lost any chance of being a grandmother to her own grandchild. Our baby will never know her, but they will know their story. They'll know they came from love and choice, not coercion and control. Mark and I are writing a book about our experience, titled Choosing Our Own Path, a story of reproductive coercion, resistance, and reclamation. We want to show others that you can survive this kind of betrayal and emerge stronger. The advance has already been earmarked for our foundation's Legal Defense Fund. To anyone reading this who might be experiencing similar manipulation, trust your instincts. If something feels wrong, it probably is. Document everything, seek support, and remember that your body and your choices belong to you alone. No one, not even family, has the right to make these decisions for you. I'm due in 3 months, and yes, sometimes I still have nightmares about Janet. But then I feel my baby kick, look at my thriving business, and remember, this is my choice, my time, my life. We've turned her attempt to control us into a movement that's helping others reclaim their autonomy. In the end, that's the best revenge of all.